first.
Hey, fight fans, welcome in. It's Thursday, so you know it's about that time again. By the way, we're in the midst of 11 straight weeks of UFC, so you're going to see plenty of Matty and I in upcoming Thursdays. We will get into it, and hopefully we got a cycle or two somewhere in that 11-week span. We'll see if we can build one today, but first I got to bring in my co-host, the man, the myth, the long shot legend himself, Matty Tanner, and ask him, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm in Las Vegas. I need a big bounce back week. That was probably the worst UFC card of my entire life. And I've had some bad ones, but that one pretty much topped it. Frustrating card. Some of the reads were bad, but some bets were you just can't control what some of these fighters are going to do from a fight IQ standpoint. And that's just how it goes sometimes. It was abysmal, like an absolute abysmal card. Right before day before the Super Bowl too, bro. It was like the worst fucking feeling going into the Super Bowl to lose like every single bet, and then to have to like wake up the next day and be like, "Man, my Eagles are playing." Like it was just a shit feeling, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we were sketched out before the card because, like I told you, I only had 2 fights I could model. This week on the Apex, I got 5, Matty. That's how weird and unusual it was that we had so little data on the pay-per-view last weekend. Like, look, there were some bad beats. I'm sure there are a lot of people in our comment section that are as mad at Cody Steele as you and I are because we're just blown away by some of the fight IQ. I think that's the first guy that comes to mind. But like Sean Strickland angered his coach in the main event. Tatiana Suarez certainly did not put forth her best performance in the co-main event. So it was a really tough betting card. Almost anybody I'm around kind of ended up dropping Saturday. But
December was like the hottest month of my entire gambling career, between 200K parlays, table wins, big straight bets, and then January hit, and it was the worst month of my career. And then it's now lingered into February. So it's time you got to 180 this shit and turn it around. I'm glad I changed location. I left Florida. I'm here in Vegas. Hit some big bets here at Circa, especially in the UFC. I've hit some crazy long shots here. So I tried to change the atmosphere, and let's see if we can turn it around now.
Yeah, we are in Vegas. UFC's in Vegas. The vibe's already high. And by the way, Matty, congrats to your Philadelphia Eagles for winning the Super Bowl. Appreciate. That game was a ton of fun for me as a Raiders fan. I loved watching the Chiefs get blasted.
The game was miserable, even as an Eagles fan, dude. I wanted a competitive, entertaining game. I wanted my parlays to be live because I had a bunch of same game long shots, and but I'm an Eagles fan. Yeah, I straight bet them too, but it's just like I want long shots, bro. That's what I live for. I had so many great reads, dude. Jalen Hurts laddered rushing yards.
Yep.
I hit like 2 or 3 ladders on that one. But then the Goddard read was just, I don't think it was a bad read. It was just game script. It was just, we were up so big early.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you would have thought that the Chiefs would at least made a game out of it. And then, but I had Jalen Hurts to go for over 99.5 rushing yards. I got that at 20-1. I mean, he had 72 without even trying, and the game wasn't close. Like that was live, So just like a lot of bets in that game, I feel like could have smacked if the game was a little bit closer.
Yeah, absolutely. And can we throw out that comment about Aaron Rodgers? Because if you don't know, I am a University of Colorado alum, so I want Shedeur Sanders. I don't care how many picks it takes.
See the comment, bro.
That is Aaron Rodgers coming to my Raiders. I want Shedeur Sanders. It is Shedeur time. I break out the watch. So why don't we dive in? UFC Vegas 102. We got 13 fights ahead of us, Matty, and by the way, there's our guy Hey Jive. That's my fault. I had that pulled up because I was looking at how many units Hey Jive was up this year before we started on here. But why don't we dive in? 13 fights. I could model 5 of them. I feel good about the card, and this many fights for inventory is good news for the cycle in general. We'll see if we have a leg here in the first fight up at bantamweight. Jacqueline Cavalcanti taking on Julia Avila. We get into a little bit of the nonsense early because Jackie Cavalcanti, she's the largest favorite on this card. It's up to -770 in this spot against the Raging Panda. Matty, we love low-level women's bantamweight. What do you think about this fight?
I think Hayden's channel said Cavalcanti's face like a school teacher or something. I think that I was cracking up. I don't have many thoughts here, bro. Cavalcanti by 30-27 decision is my prediction.
Yeah, it's such an interesting. I find it interesting from this perspective in that you look at Julia Avila back in the day, picked up wins over Julia Stoliarenko, Penny Kianzad. It's like, dang, those are really legitimately good mixed martial artists. But then she takes this big, long layoff. Like, we didn't see her for almost 3 years. And then she comes back December 2023 and she gets mopped by Miesha Tate. And so now all of a sudden, Cavalcanti coming off a fight where she wasn't super impressive against Nora Cornell, but like she's the younger fighter in her prime. And it feels like it's just gone up and up. But you know, my concern when we get into this neighborhood with favorites, it's like, you got to give me finishing equity. Like, you got to give me dominance. Like, I cannot have squeaking by rounds. So I think it's a twofold betting approach in this fight. Cavalcanti's gone to decision all 3 UFC fights. If you like her here, maybe you think about a 2-3 KO, like a late KO situation, because that's the dominance you'll get. That's what happened to Avila in her last fight, is that she was just getting mopped so hard that she got submitted in the 3rd round. Or you think that maybe Avila, extra time off, lower competition level than a former champion, is actually able to compete here. And you see her point spread on books hitting around like plus 150 or so. She's just got to win 1 round when Cavalcanti's grappling hasn't been tested. So I spent a lot of time thinking about this fight. I was able to model it, and what's throwing me off is that I've got this way closer to a pick 'em. I've only got Cavalcanti minus 120 when you factor in really poor level of competition so far, not really anything in the grappling department. It's really tough for me to get anywhere close on this number. So I'm going to have weird, disgusting sprinkles at Avila in this spot, most likely.
Yeah, I could be enticed at like a round 2-3 KO for Cavalcanti, but I do not want to start this card off relying on a fucking KO prop in this fight, bro. I need to get off to a good start on this card.
Yeah, and I don't even know if that opportunity is out there. I'll take a look at FanDuel what Cavalcanti's decision prop is, but I'm guessing it's going to be pretty lengthy. It is minus 2-1.
Round 2 KO 16-1. Round 3 is 23-1. So if you want to sprinkle, go for it. But Cavalcanti by decision, I assume, is the outcome here.
Yeah, very interesting. Back in the day, I was way lower than everybody on Avila. Like, I bet Sarge Eubanks is a dog against her, cashed that ticket, and like I was kind of the not Avila guy, and now she's older and probably a worse version of herself with this number. To me, it's just when you look at WM and women's MMA, it's kind of a wild, wild west. So on the record, kind of betting angle in this one for you is 2-3 KO if you do anything.
That's still a lean decision. I'm not betting this fight. There's no chance.
Okay, sounds good. I am going to have very small sprinkles of Julia Avila and then plus 3.5 as well and plus money. It's going to be terrifying, but I think I just got to play the model and play the process. So we'll move forward here. Take a look at this next fight. See if something better works around the corner for us. Your boy. How about that? Walter Walker. Boy. Not only your boy, Johnny Walker's bro. Back from
I gotta shout out Walter Walker, bro. When we hit the 100K cycle parlay, the homie Walter came on the IG and commented and showed love to the 100K parlay, bro. Walter Walker's a fucking dog, bro. He's a good dude too.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Walter again because last time we saw him, he was in much better shape. He gets a submission of Junior Taffa in that fight down under. And now he gets Dontel Mays in this fight here, and he's a minus 245 favorite. It's been a weird 2-fight career for Walter so far. I know he's your guy, so do you feel like that's appropriate odds for him? And if you were going to back him in a prop market, what would it look like?
I think it's a little wide. The problem is like you can say what you want about Dontel Mays, but like he's faced the better competition. He's been in there with Arlovsky.
Yeah.
Rodrigo Nascimento, I know he, ended up having to leave the UFC, but he was okay. He was decent. Kyle Machado, like Josh Parisian, Surreal Ghan, he's been in there with. So, like, he's just been in there with the better competition. And I think the longer this fight goes, I actually think it favors Dontel in a way, which is kind of crazy to say. But, like, if Walker, I think, is going to just expend so much energy early, trying to get this fight to the ground and trying to put him away, so like it's either does he get that done or does he not? And then as the fight goes, it's going to really test his new condition and new shape, which you got to think is improving his. I mean, the eye test has shown you, how much better he looks. We haven't really been able to see it though, because his last fight was a round 1 finish, which was a weird fucking tap, by the way. It was a heel hook verbal tap that everyone started freaking out about on social media.
Yeah.
But I gotta believe that Walter Walker's on a positive trajectory here, and Dontel Mays is going the opposite direction. What's crazy, bro, is, I mean, how many times is Dontel? I don't think Dontel's going to be the easiest guy to submit.
No.
And I almost wonder here if you look the other way. I mean, obviously the decision is, I think, most likely. Let me check the number, but I almost wonder if you look the other way here on some ground and pound with Walter Walker, if he's able to get on top here, because I bet you the number plus 550.
Yeah, that's how
on Walter Walker by KO compared to the submission, but the submission's plus 430, so it's really not a terrible number either. Dontel Mays put away once by KO, twice by submission. The submission, I believe it was Nascimento back in 2020, and then Cyril Gano's back-to-back submission losses, 2019, 2020. But he hasn't really fought anybody since then besides the rematch with Nascimento that he even really looks for that submission, right? So it's like, has he improved or has he just not fought anybody?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get taken down in that second Nascimento fight, which is a big improvement from getting subbed, So it's like, Mace is the weirdest guy because he's like John Jones' primary training partner at Jackson Wink. Like,
I'm tired of that narrative. That narrative has fucked so many people.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is that, like, he is very inconsistent fight to fight, kind of depending on who he's fighting, right? It's like, last fight, I believe he was stuck underneath Shamil Gaziev, but then he looked great against Kyle Machado the fight before that. And like, Walter has an interesting 2-fight sample where most people think Lucas Brzeski is hot ass. I was a little bit higher on him than most people were, but Brzeski was able to stuff enough takedowns and get up enough in order to take advantage of Walker not really having much in the hands department. And then in the next fight, he heel hooks Junior Toffel, like you said, who can't grapple at all. So, like, I think Mays has enough in the grappling department to take down defense about 60%, that this fight could be kind of interesting. I almost sort of lean Dontel later here. I'd be interested what his round 3 decision prop is, just in case Walter's cardio issues come into fold. It's plus 340, which I think is an interesting number, but this is not a fight that I'm particularly thrilled to bet. I have not had great success in Dontel Mays fights, and I would make Walter maybe a little bit shorter favorite than this, but in general, I'm with you. I think he's the better UFC prospect in general, but this particular matchup could be kind of weird.
I think he should be favored based off of the age, just the upward trajectory of his career, but like minus 170, minus 180, not minus 245. Yeah. And then the problem is we don't really know what he's going to look like after round 1. Yeah. I almost think around 1-2 Walker, around 2-3 Mays can make sense. I mean, obviously it goes the distance, you lose every bet, but just a little sprinkle, quarter unit per round. You have a full unit of exposure. You go 1-2 Walker, 2-3 Mays.
We've seen some love for the over in this fight. How do you feel about the over on this? I kind of like that. I wonder what the total's sitting at. So over. I'm trying to find it here. Over 2.5 rounds, minus 170.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm not alone.
No, that scares the shit out of me. Just because even if it goes past the first round, then you have to worry about Mays getting finished early. Then and then if he survives, then you have to worry about Walker gassing in late in round 2, early round 3. So I just think it's a lot of sweating for a minus 170.
Yeah. I think I nailed it. Or I don't really think Mays has a lot of early equity here, so I think I'm going to play him round 3 decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to be biased because I really want to take Walker here. The problem is Mays, last thing I'll say, I mean, Shamil Ghazi, I was putting away most people, right? And Mays survived all 3 with him.
Yep.
Say what you want about Shamil, but like outside of Jairzinho and Dontel Mays, he's put away everyone.
Yeah. Mays generally loses to ranked dudes, so you kind of have to ask yourself how you feel about Walter as a prospect.
Yeah. I mean, what would you line Walter Walker versus Shamil Gaziev?
I mean, Gaziev's counter wrestling. Gaziev would probably put him out in the first 2 rounds. He's a pretty powerful dude, in my opinion.
He'd probably be like minus 170, minus 180.
I just a market correction in general here. Walker loses to Brzeski, was a pick 'em against Junior Taffa, and all of a sudden he's minus 245 against the best of those three guys. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Last question: if you had gun to your head, you have to go Walker KO or Walker sub.
KO.
5-1 on KO, 4-1 on the sub, roughly.
I would go KO just because I think Mays is tough to sub. Josh Parisian actually ground and pounded Mays out of there. Like Dante's been caught with like tricky stuff, but I don't think Walker's bag's that deep.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dante Mays only been knocked out once, bro. How's that possible?
I weirdly feel like he's a kind of a talented, athletic dude that just doesn't put the pieces together. He finished
Josh Parisian.
Mays finished. No. Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry.
Who was his knockout lost to? It was to. It was like 2017. No one's put him away. I mean, honestly, if Walker has the gas tank, I think Walter by decision hits here, but you're sweating after round 1 for sure.
Yeah, both of these guys have questionable gas tanks, so maybe the best advice is for both of us to move on. So, best bet here then, if we're recapping for everybody, just so they know where you stand. What are you leaning here? Not sure.
My head's fucking spinning in circles on this one, bro.
I'm gonna go Mays round 3 decision plus 340. I like it. That's the way I'm leaning here right now. So, why don't we move on to the next fight at this one? Why am I not finding the weight class? Okay, it is 135. I wanted to make sure that this wasn't a 145er. So I know Elijah Smith's a big guy for bantamweight, but he is going to make the cut all the way down to face Vince Vendetta Morales. Can they get this guy an easy matchup, man? I mean, there's so many bad bantamweights on the roster. He just comes off. I think he fought Taylor Lapalus in France last. It's crazy how hard. Yeah. I mean, odds makers are saying, hey, here's another top shelf prospect. He's a plus 126 underdog again here. Yeah. Elijah Smith coming off the Contender Series. We didn't have a lot of luck picking Contender Series guys last week. So, what do you think, man? What do you think about Elijah here making his UFC debut?
Honestly, I haven't spent enough time on him. I need to, just to be honest with you, before the fights. But I'll say this, Vince Morales, that was a tough assignment, pretty much on the road in France against Taylor Lapalus. And, he went the distance with him. But Lapalus isn't really putting tons of guys away at the same time. 4 straight decisions for Lapalus. Mm-hmm. What are these odds at right now? So Morales is the dog. I kind of like Morales by decision, bro. If I have to pick something here, but I kind of like him as a dog and by decision.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how Morales does. Morales by points plus 250 here, so
it's
basically double up the number. Yeah, I definitely in his Contender Series fight, Elijah Smith, father was a UFC fighter. I thought he got a really tough draw against Aaron Tao, the guy with the face tattoos that was really kind of a savage that kept coming forward throughout that fight. Kind of gassed out a little bit, had 5 takedowns, but lost the 3rd round. Morales is just such an interesting case where I do feel better about him. And he seems to have improved from his time off of UFC. He comes back from the regional scene. But still, when you look at his tools and what he brings to the table, not a super efficient striker, not a ton of power, very, very minimalistic grappling upside, especially against somebody with wrestling credentials like Elijah Smith. So it's kind of hard to favor him against any particular bantamweight with that skill set. But what you're kind of banking on is that Smith maybe a little bit fraudulent, maybe a little bit raw, doesn't have the tools to be able to piece him out. And I think, like you said, a decision is probably a good angle here. I wonder what the over in this fight is because, it's minus 235 for this fight to go the full distance. So odds makers think it could be pretty close. I don't know how much I feel like sweating Elijah Smith points here. I haven't really done anything with him in betting circles. I said last week on Twitter, my adjustment is if I'm not going to model something or if I don't feel strongly about it, I really want to reduce the sort of exposure I have to it. I frankly don't even have a specific way that I think this fight plays out. I think it's ugly and slimy. And do you want to bet Morales' decision to plus 250? You can, but you just don't have a strong lean.
Yeah, I mean, the over 2.5 is minus 290 if you want to look at a parlay piece, but it's still a little expensive, to be honest.
Yeah. If anything, I think I might be worried about Morales finishing, because Vince has been in with killers who went the distance. He went the distance with Lapalus. He went the distance with Miles Johns. He went the distance. Jonathan Martinez, like the dude, the last time he was finished was
Sonya Dawn went the distance. I mean, Gutierrez was the only guy that put him away, and he
leg
can
kicks.
do that to anyone with leg kicks. Like that's just is what it is. But yeah, I agree. Maybe this fight to go the distance makes the most sense as a parlay piece.
Yeah, it could be, but I don't have much stronger feelings than that. So I guess if we have a lead in this fight, it might be goes the distance minus 235, not super expensive, but Matty and I probably not rushing to the window. So we'll move on to this next fight here. The first of two Bonfim brothers. They brought the Bonfim clan out here for UFC Vegas 102. Here's Gabriel at welterweight. He's taking on Chaos Williams, a guy whose trajectory just seems to keep going up and up and up, right? I'm still surprised he's made this sort of career. He punched out Carlston Harris in the first round of his last fight at 170. So Bonfim comes back. He got a nice win over Ange Lusa in Denver last summer. Had the fight against Nicholas Dalby where he was a super heavy favorite in Sao Paulo, ended up disappointing everybody in their parlays and stuff like that. So Bonfim now 3 fights into his career. What do you think about this matchup specifically with a proven winner in Chaos?
Yeah, bro, it's a scary matchup for Bonfim as a 2-1 favorite here. But I think he's matured. I think he now does what he needs to do to win versus chasing finishes early in round 1. We were actually talking about this fight on the podcast, and Gilbert seems to think that Bonfim's barely going to get touched in this fight. Like he thinks he's just going to do what he needs to do to win, and he's going to avoid the big power on the feet, which I kind of agree with that read. It seems like Chaos is kind of like a trendy underdog this week, not based off line movement, but just based off what I've seen on social. Actually, I don't even know which direction did this number go in.
It stayed right about here. I thought I saw plus 180 at some point, but it's sitting plus 176 right now.
Yeah.
So,
I actually like length in this fight, bro. I like length.
Me too.
I think Bonfim's resume, you have to really look at it and be like, Nicholas Dalby's a fucking stud, bro. Like Nicholas Dalby, I'm just done doubting. That dude is a killer. Like he's crazy pace and power, and that was kind of the loss that Bonfim needed, right? And he loses that fight.
Yeah.
And the Lusa fight, he doesn't look the greatest, but he did what he needed to win. And Lusa's kind of like an up-and-comer that is, I think, that we respect and, has a good gym and trains with a lot of good guys. And then this Chaos fight, it's like, right, you just need to be careful. You need to be careful on the feet, not do what fucking, what's his name did that burned me? Carlston Harris.
Yeah.
But in a way, I think Bonfim's kind of a better version of Carlston Harris, like as far as like just raw talent. But he has the grappling, he can strike a little bit. Like I think he can be smart on the feet here and win a decision. That's all I got on this one, bro. I mean, I understand if you want to play Chaos Williams here. A lot of people are talking about Chaos by decision, right? Yeah. Maybe he just does more on the feet with the boxing.
Sure.
And it's a big number. It's like 7 or 8-1. So if people like that, I understand why. But I think Bonfim by decision here makes a ton of sense, bro.
Yeah, it is an interesting fight. We've really seen 2 versions of Chaos, right? The
3-1, by the way.
Bonfim by points.
By points, plus 300, dude.
I'm showing value on the over in this fight. It's about 70% implied to not go the distance. I'm only at 58%. So I think it's more likely to go the distance than odds makers are anticipating. Bonfim, by the way, squeaked into model range, which was kind of exciting to throw him through here. But I have Williams at plus 150. He's plus 176. So there's like a small bit of value there. But I think this is a fight where both guys are in general are going to have a hard time trying to do what they want to do, because Bonfim's striking defense, 62%, very good. Right. I think Chaos will struggle to hit him. And then on the other side, Chaos, 80% takedown defense is something he's done very well against a lot of guys that are trying to take him down. And Bonfim, has looked to grapple when he can. So I think it could be kind of close. I do lean with you. I think it's a fight where you could see Bonfim being the more active guy, getting his hand raised. But I think the play is the over.
I love this Bonfim by decision, dude. I didn't realize it was 3-1. I mean, the most likely number is Bonfim by sub, and I don't get that. You're dealing with the 80% takedown defense. You're dealing with Chaos's durability. Never been subbed in his MMA career.
Right.
Never been knocked out in his MMA career. I get the minus 230 favorite to win at 3-1 odds on the scorecards when he just did that, and the guy he's fighting is super durable. I like that as leg one of the cycle, but I don't know if you're there on it.
Let me run it through the numbers.
3-1, bro. That's an amazing number. I thought it was like plus 180, plus 200.
I've got it plus 260. So that is an interesting number for the cycle. I was showing value there.
Right, we'll keep it as an option, bro.
Yeah, because it's just tough for me to see Chaos generating enough offense to actually get the decision. So interesting. Some books showing Bonfim split closer to like 9-1 or so. The splits can be hard. I tried to play Jack Jenkins by split last week. I thought I was going to get like a split decision in that fight until, of course, he got submitted in the third round. But
I mean, Chaos, who has he fought that has like the real submission ability on the ground? That's
so it's interesting. There's a lot of guys that could submit him, but the fight just didn't play out that way. You look at Alex Morono, Michelle Pereira, Miguel Baeza, Randy Brown, Carlston Harris. All those guys very capable, but the fight just never really called for it.
Right, exactly.
If this guy was an easy sub target, I think he would have gotten got by now. Is kind of my opinion with that. I've got Chaos KO plus 285 here. It's plus 310. So that's fair.
Bonfim is 12 submission wins. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, I just think it's a good thing to keep in mind that
he's got it. Well, Chaos got to stay away from that guillotine. That's where he gets most of them, like the front chokes, guillotine, Darce choke. He has quite a few rear naked chokes. So
he's never landed a takedown. I don't think he's going to
FC, Samurai Fight 1. Like, he's not doing this in the UFC except for Trevin Giles and the fight before. They were both guillotines. I don't see Chaos getting guillotined because he's not going to engage there.
Yeah, no, he's never landed a takedown in UFC. Chaos doesn't hardly shoot ever. And I don't think we've really seen him hurt to a point where he needed to.
I got to go Bonfim decision, bro. You don't have to put it in the cycle, but I think we should keep it as an option for sure.
That's my model's favorite play in this fight, which is something that I probably wouldn't have come across, but I like Bonfim. It's weird that it's so undervalued or seems to be undervalued when he just went to a decision and won it against Anže Lusa.
And he did have, if I remember correctly, he did have some attempts early, but Anže just has like no neck.
Yeah. Chaos a little bit similar, though. He's a hard guy to submit.
Like legit.
When you think about their fighting styles, they're honestly pretty similar. Anže Lusa and Chaos. Ange's not as powerful, but they're kind of built similarly and do the same type of thing. So we'll bookmark that, Matty. I think we're onto something there.
And as a straight bet, you could look at the double chance.
Yeah.
Bonfim by sub or decision minus 135. I love that.
Whoa.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't think he's putting Chaos out so far. Doesn't have any UFC knockdowns. I think that's a good play too, Matty.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play the over, and I'm gonna play Bonfim decision here most likely if we end up deciding to go with that. So I like it. And there are not a lot of favorites that I love this week, but I circled Bonfim as one that I could be talked into. But man, that fight could just be a little slimy in general. We'll have to take a peek. So why don't we move forward here? We'll move way down in weight for this next one. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. Rafael Estevam taking on your guy, Jesus Aguilar, the Gilly machine that got another one against Stuart Nickel in his last fight in Australia. Estevam ending a decent layoff here against Aguilar. Fought Charles Johnson in his last fight, won by unanimous decision. So flyweights are kind of the gift they keep on giving. Super talented dudes. Yeah. Can Aguilar get another neck here, or odds makers a little pessimistic of such? Estevam a minus 500 favorite. So what do you think about this?
Jesus. That's fucking insane, bro. I'll tell you what, bro. Just look at that graphic right there. You got that little giraffe neck right there, just standing up, bro. It's just waiting to get grabbed and get snatched, bro. This dude's plus 340 now. That's fucking. Oh my god.
That means round one.
It's pretty much his only win condition, honestly. I mean, I guess he could start him, but
Aguilar round one sub 24-1.
Jesus. It's Aguilar by sub period is plus 1,000. I mean, but the Brazilian's pretty well rounded, bro. 4 wins by knockout, 3 submission, 5 by decision.
He's a big time prospect. I doubted
Yeah.
Estevam a lot against Charles Johnson, and he was able to control Johnson for over 9 minutes in that fight. CJ had more success on the feet, but like Aguilar is so one dimensional, and if he's not grabbing that guillotine, just a 36% takedown defense, he should have lost to Mateus Mendonça as an underdog. That was the decision that just went off the rails for him. I understand why Estevam is like.
I'm assuming you couldn't model this one, right?
No. Estevam sample's not big enough.
Yeah, I think Jesus might even get subbed here.
Yeah. Estevam's ground game looked very, very strong in his debut.
Dude, that could be the play. Plus 210. It's the second most likely outcome.
Interesting.
I really tend to lean that way. I do want to watch some more tape, but that's just sticking out to me right now.
Did Tyra sub or kick ground? Okay, he
triangle. Yeah. Triangle armbar right before 4 minutes and 20 seconds in.
Yeah. I generally, whenever you see these positions, and I'd love to get some math and some data on this, Aguilar was a big underdog in his last fight. He gets the round 1 submission upset. Now he's a big underdog again. It's very rare to me that they pull it off again, that they pull off the same type of win condition again. Maybe if I throw heavyweight out where one punch can end it. It's like, I feel like Estevam's minus 500 here prohibitively. It's a little bit how I felt with Kong Wang last week. And, she didn't get the finish in that fight, but she was completely dominant. And I feel like Estevam is the better guy everywhere.
I'll tell you what, Jesus been put away by, so the Tatsuro Taira finished him by a triangle armbar. And then Estevam has, he has an arm triangle and an armbar, back-to-back wins. That was 2017, though. And then he's a rear naked choke 2018. And then lots of ground and pound since, and decision against Charles Johnson, which is expected.
Man, is Estevam points the most likely outcome? It is. It's plus 165.
Yeah, I mean the plus 420 KO is twice as much as the sub, literally.
Yeah,
and he's had multiple ground and pounds. He had a ground and pound in the Contender Series, and then his fight before the Contender Series in the LFA.
I know you search for long shots, but I just like inside the distance at minus 105.
You know what I really like in this fight? Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now. I can't wait to see this number. Estevam to win in round 2, plus 500.
Oh,
I
sick.
Like that. I fucking love that.
I mean, Aguilar starts
absolutely strong. Love that play. 5-1.
Yeah, I mean, I could get with it. A reminder.
I'm definitely putting that in a round prop.
Estevam did take a while, even though he was dominating. It took him till the second round in the Contender Series to get Joe Elias out of there. So,
yeah,
interesting.
That number.
So Matty's leaning round 2 here. I'm gonna go with Estevam inside the distance minus 105. It's kind of a safe play, but I do not think Aguilar is gonna pull
that's in the safe parlay there.
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know what I would combine it with, but I do like Estevam to win inside the distance. Aguilar to me just spends a lot of bottom time, and it's very concerning for a guy that doesn't have very long arms. So we'll move on. I don't want to take too long on some of these early prelims where I know nothing and can add very little. I think at least one side of this fits that bill. Jared Gordon got a last-minute opponent. Unfortunately, Cowley Fernandez pulled out of this card. So Mashrabjon Ruzibaev, and if that name sounds familiar, he is the brother of Nursultan Ruzibaev, is going to get a last-minute call here at 155, normally a featherweight. So kind of interesting there. Taking on a guy in Jared Flash Gordon, you and I just like. I know we're fans of individually. We always separate, the art from the artist and try to make sure we aren't falling for any sort of tricks. But interesting, Gordon, a minus 325 favorite in this spot. So what do you think about Jared in general and anything about this particular matchup that you might have learned so far?
I think he's cheap, if anything, as a favorite. I think he's going to destroy this dude. This guy's on short notice. I think Jared Gordon, is taking the sport so seriously. I think he's getting better every single fight ever since he got robbed against Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah.
You want to know this guy's record, bro? So his last 10 opponents combined record, we posted this on Home of Fight Picks, 103, 105, and 2. So the guys that this guy is facing or is fighting against are basically have lost 105 times in their career. This guy could come out here and be an absolute can.
Yeah. that's almost more generous because I was gonna what I had written down for you. Each of his last 4 opponents have at least 11 losses, each one of them. So they're cans. Yeah, like it's been can crushing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So the question is, how do you like Jared here? Because the numbers aren't out anywhere, by the way. I don't know if you saw them anywhere, but they're not on FanDuel. I can't really find them anywhere.
no,
Let me check a couple other options.
This was just announced yesterday, so I'm not anticipating
Right.
we'll have props. But
Yeah.
I mean, the lean with Gordon is always decision, just because he has. I don't know if he even has scored a UFC knockdown yet. If he did, it was that
Mark
one against.
Madsen.
Yeah, it's Mark Madsen. Yeah, is what he's got, and then the submission danger isn't there. He doesn't have a career attempt, so I tend to always lean points.
He doesn't have a single attempt there.
Nope.
I'll tell you what, though, if this dude's a can, he could get one. Like, it's round
That's
2,
true.
3, 1, if this dude fades, like, I really believe so. I was waiting to see what the sub prop was. Like, is it like 12-1 or something? Because, like, then it would be worth a sprinkle.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You know,
I did find an over-under number, though. Over-under 2.5 is pretty much a pick'em.
Okay, interesting. So Gordon points probably will be the most likely outcome once we get there. But I don't hate your methodology there, Matty. I will never forget this lesson that I learned when Sadiq Youssef was taking on Don Shainis, and he had never attempted a submission before in UFC. Shainis was so below his level that he said, he comes out in his post-fight interview, he says, I wanted to test out a different part of my game on this guy. So if Gordon's sub was like 12-1 here, just because he hasn't shown the tendency in UFC, if I'm not mistaken, he's training with the Serra-Longo guys, right? At there with Merab and Aljo, and that's his gym, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a good gym to grapple in. So I feel that way as well, that if we got it at a long enough number, anything is on the table here. But I'm glad you like Gordon. Yeah. I was thinking about using his money line in the safe parlay.
Honestly, why not, bro? I just cannot see him. He's been in some really either close fights or robberies, depending on how you look at some of these fights.
Yeah.
And this is one that has to be a layup for him, and he has to get back on track. I really thought he won his last fight back in June of last year against Nasrat. I thought he did just enough, but that one was very close, whereas the Patty one to me was a robbery.
Yeah.
Then the Bobby Green fight, just crazy bad luck with the no contest. Like, the dude's been through the ringer with some of these fights, dude. Like, this, I feel like this is the type of fight where he goes out and finishes this guy.
Look at Gordon's 4 losses since 2019 started. Charles Oliveira, Patty, Nasrat Haqparast, Grant Dawson. That is and I didn't even think he lost the Haqparast fight. That was a very close decision.
Yeah. Elite competition. I know you said he hasn't gone for these submission attempts, but there are fights where he's out wrestling his opponents.
Exactly. Yes.
The Leonardo Santos is a solid win back in 2022. Mark Madsen, we finally got to see his hands get going. I feel like this is a value spot for the finish because the decision's going to be the most likely outcome.
Yeah.
I bet you can get it. What do you think the inside distance number would come in at?
So if over 2.5 rounds is around a pick 'em, I'm going to guess Gordon inside the distance is going to be short plus money. It's got to be.
Yeah, plus 150 maybe.
Yeah, because you're basically parlaying Gordon and then fight goes the distance. Yeah. So. Or fight doesn't go the distance, I should say. So, one last thing I want to add here: are you particularly sold on Nursultan, which almost kind of influences because against Buckley, his takedown defense was non-existent. He got the eye poke against Cedric Dumas, and then.
By the way, this Ruzibaev have been subbed twice. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I just don't think his resume is very strong at all.
I'm telling you, dude, if that sub prop is north of 10-1, I'm putting a nice little straight bet on it, dude. I think it's gonna hit. He could jump on this if he starts beating this guy up, he could jump on his back and get a rear naked choke on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
That's my prediction. Round 2 rear naked choke.
This is kind of why I want to get some money line exposures, because I just don't have a strong lean other than I think Gordon's going to dominate. So if however you feel that's going to be, if the sub is like 10-1, 12-1, that's really big number for how I'm expecting this fight to look. So
2-3 would pay a fortune.
Yeah, Gordon, by the way, is shrinking. He was minus 350 when we made the graphic, down to minus 325. So I might wait and see if I can get a better number. It's weird. Yeah, people do this thing with like the Eastern Europe guys where they're like, they must be better at MMA than an American dude. No, Jared Gordon's been fighting top level competition.
Jared Gordon's a very underrated guy.
He's so underrated. The only thing that scares me,
he's well rounded, and he takes it serious, and he's got card. He can do it all.
Yep, great pace, great accuracy, at least on the stat sheet. But the only thing I'm concerned about a little bit is that he's getting up there a little bit. He's 36, but I think he's kind of a young 36 because he doesn't have the UFC miles per se. He kind of got into MMA later. Like if you don't know his story about drug use and all that stuff, he's not been in the game forever. So I think
he also hasn't taken a ton of like in those losses that he's been put away. It's been quick. Like Oliveira, quick uppercut, fight's over, right?
Yep.
Dawson was a little bit of damage, but he ended up getting choked out in round 3. Paddy Pimblett, really no damage. I mean, he hasn't taken that significant finishing damage or had like 3 or 5 rounders that are just like beat downs, like a Poirier versus Dan Hooker. Like he hasn't been in any of those wars.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his resume, he's only absorbed more than 70 significant strikes twice. He's not in wars very often. One of them was against Haqparast, but that was a lot of jabs, kicks. It wasn't like he wasn't
hurt at all
or anything. So we'll move on. I'm glad you like Gordon. We might circle back to him, become the safe parlay at the end of the show. But Matty, a very important question I got to ask you in this next women's strawweight fight, because this one has divided the gambling world. Everybody's got a take on this pick'em fight between Angela Hill and Ketlen Souza. Souza had that really impressive effort at Noche UFC, knocked out Hasmin Hayargi and Haurigi, I should say, and then Angela Hill coming off a fight against Tabitha Ricci that was very, very close. She's also added her first career sub win in the last year. Angie is 40, but it feels like she's aging like wine. Now she steps back to Ketlen Souza after the Ricci fight here. I think there's arguments to both sides, but what do you think in this fight?
I think this comment sums it up, bro. Do not underestimate Angela Hill. She is aging like wine, dude. She's better than she's ever been at 40 years of age. If I'm getting a pick'em on her against someone who I still think is kind of unproven, like let's not forget, like this girl got put away in round 1 by Karina Silva, and that hasn't aged like that well. Karina Silva now has gone through some adversity in a couple of fights, losing one, not getting a finish in the other one. And then you look at Souza's competition outside of that Karina Silva fight, it's not good. It's just not. So I have to lean towards the USC vet here that's gotten better over time and is very well rounded. I kind of like Angela Hill by decision here, bro.
Yeah, I like Angie too, bro. And I'm typically not the guy that takes the older established fighter over the changing of the guard, but this feels like I was on Souza money line against Haurigi, right? And I was like, Haurigi's unproven. She has some chin issues. Angela doesn't. 61% striking defense. Like her durability is very, very much a part of her game. Like it hasn't always gone her way, but she's always found her way to the end against a Lupi Godinez, against a Mackenzie Verna. I mean, geez, has she ever been finished in UFC? I don't think she's ever been. Oh, she was subbed way back in 2019. It was at least 15 fights ago. Yeah, and the thing is, Souza, though, has a very questionable ground game at this point, and you almost throw out half of Souza's sample against Marnik Man. Man is terrible. Doesn't mean anything.
He's literally done nothing, dude. This is mind-boggling to me. I'm Angela Hill money line all day. I'm not.
If we hid and we did not know the ages of these two fighters, and you only knew resume and stats and all of that stuff, Angie would be like minus 350, bro.
Yeah.
And now because she's 40, it's a pick'em, and I feel like that's good value.
Yeah, I mean, so I know Caitlin's, not a big sample size, but how does her strike and volume match up to Angela's?
I mean, it's roughly comparable. It's just so tough. I almost want to take her stats, dude, and throw them in the trash can because she goes 15 minutes with Marnik Man. She got first round finishes in the other 2 fights. I don't care that she blasted up Marnik Man. Man is terrible. So I almost think you're misleading yourself to look at the stats in this fight.
Yeah. Right. Did someone block Dixon somewhere in the chat? I did not block Dixon.
I still see Dixon's messages, and Dixon's one of our
I see Dixon.
fans. Yeah,
If we blocked him, how is he confident?
Yeah, it's a great question.
No,
It's a great question. So this is technically the featured prelim. Matty and I are going with Angela Hill. Do you like points here? Let's see what we got to be in props.
I like points, bro. I like Angela by points. You get plus money on it, plus 125. I think it's a no-brainer. She's landing a significant strike more per minute and against better competition. I think what's so funny?
Guess what over 2.5 is in this fight?
Minus 350.
Minus 600.
What the fuck, dude?
To me, that so much favors Angie.
I have a serious question for you. If that over is seriously minus 600, why would you not just play a half a unit on both fighters by decision? It's plus money on each side.
Yeah, it's a good. I think if you.
What am I missing? The math doesn't make any sense to me.
I actually think you're right, because then at worst case you get 100 to win 25 if you bet Angela Hill's decision prop and Souza's.
Yeah.
And that's better than minus 600.
Well, there's not a ton of margin, right? Because you're going to win one or lose both. But if you win one,
yeah,
even if you put a unit on Angela Hill by decision, and a unit on Caitlin Souza by decision plus 140, that's the problem. Is you're not going to win much profit.
Yeah, I mean it's just Angela
Hill by decision. That's literally, I would even consider that in the cycle life for sure.
That's what I was going to ask. And we like Bonfim points earlier, so we're going to have to go back and see maybe what makes more practical sense. But I'm with you, dude. I think Angie's a great value in this fight. And by the way, the number's moving against her, so I'm just going to keep waiting. Maybe she'll be minus 105 plus 100. Yeah. Wow. Well, if your messages aren't appearing, we got you on the screen.
Guys, no one has been blocked this stream, at least to my knowledge, unless one of the producers did. But no, Dixon's message is right there, so he's not been blocked.
Yeah, usually we do like a hand signal and we say, hey, ban this guy. But then we haven't had a ban this guy yet. No. Chat's been chill. So why don't we move on, Matty? Before we move on to the main card, I wanted to bring up something very important to our listeners, because before we move on, Home of Picks has been cooking. Our guy Hayjive, I love the guy. He's up 11 units already in 2025. Since 2023, they are up 210 total units, which means 21,000 in profit if you bet $100 as your unit. The best time to join is now. Use the link in the bio or code APEX for 7 days free for Home of Picks. That gives you access to all of the picks for UFC Vegas 102 for free. For more information, you can again click the link in the bio or visit at the HOF Picks on X. Again, I'm not selling picks myself, make that clear, but I do respect Hayden and also Nolan, the Parlay MMA that does his picks for Home of Picks. Those guys know exactly what they are doing. They're the film experts that I cannot be, so you should listen to them if you can get in on their advice, and you get 7 days free with that promo code. So
yeah, Hayden's been crushing, bro. He's been the most consistent guy I've seen the last few years, so go check that out. 7 days for free, boys. You can check out if you need the link, I think it's here in the chat. Or you can get it on like Instagram or Twitter or my story.
It is lots of places to get it, and you should listen to him, not me. It's for props and things of that nature. I haven't been very good about my significant strike props or anything like that this year, but there's a reason why Hayden is a professional. So, Matty, why don't us two semi-professionals move on to the main card here? Jose Delgado and Connor Matthews at featherweight. Delgado coming in, making his debut off the Contender Series. We last saw Matthews against Dennis Bazooka, ended up getting knocked down in the third round. So Delgado, a minus 430 favorite here. We get these hype trains off the Contender Series, it feels like, all the time. We've seen a bunch of undefeated fighters go by the wayside in 2025, Matty. Do you have the stones to pick Delgado to be the next one of them?
Dude, I have no idea how to do this fight. I hate everything about this fight. Connor Matthews, I kind of feel like he gave up a little bit in his last fight. Got finished in round 3. And I'm just not willing to back that kind of juice on a Delgado coming off the Contender Series. So I don't really like anything in this fight. I don't like any specific outcomes. I'm literally just not touching it.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. I feel like Connor Matthews is super chinny, so Delgado by KO made a lot of sense. I was big on Delgado's Contender Series opponent, Ernie Juarez. He's one of my favorite bets. I was like, this guy is as tough as a $2 stake. He's active, but really he was a defensive nightmare in that fight. Delgado was able to light him up to the body, to the head. I mean, he really just had his way with him. It was a bad bet that I placed, and I don't want to overreact and swing the other way with Delgado now at this point. But at the same time, I just don't have a very high prior on Matthews. Matthews, two-time Contender Series appearance himself. He actually lost to Francis Marshall on the Contender Series since cut from UFC. I don't have a super high opinion of Bazooka, so I do like Delgado to win here, but you talk about laying this juice in particular. I understand your aversion. I actually had a play around minus 400 or so with Delgado that I posted in the Home of Fight Discord earlier this week, but I understand your trepidation. I just don't think Matthews has particularly the tools to win UFC fights.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to pick anything in this fight, I would just take Delgado by KO. That's plus 190. It feels square shit. It's the most likely outcome. But just look at fucking Connor Matthews' face, bro. He just looks like a guy that's about to get starched.
Well, yeah, I think he's chinny, and then Delgado was having his way. Didn't show a submission on attempt on the Contender Series. I'm actually I don't know if Delgado has a pro win by sub yet. He might have one if I remember correctly. So I think I have the right guy here. He's got 4. This can't be the right guy. Maybe it is the right guy.
Really?
We got a few Jose Delgados on Tapology, but last sub 2024, Feb 2024. So he does kind of have that in his toolkit. It's kind of interesting for maybe I love it. Frick, that's scary now.
Oh, that's Dan Rodrigues he fought. Oh, that's a different Dan Rodrigues. Never mind.
I mean, I'm with you. Hey, how about this?
We don't know. That was 2018, bro. I was gonna say he that must have been a mini D-Rod.
Yeah, we don't have to pick because you can do inside the distance minus 115. You can do round 1 or 2 for plus 135. You can do round 1 plus 260.
I'll go KO plus 190 if I have to take anything, but other than that, I'm on this fight.
I kind of like Delgado in a round 1 sort of lay. He was very offensively active in his fight on the Contender Series. Let me get you a number. He was about 14 significant strikes per minute. That is a high pace. So,
all right. So if I went Delgado, I would just go round prop, right?
Yep.
So I would go my round parlay. I might actually look at this Delgado round 1, and then
you had round 2 for Estevam.
Estevam round 2, and then what do you think? A round 3. Could be like
what about Dontel Mays?
If I can't go against Walter Walker, but a Dontel Mays round 3, that would pay a fortune.
I'm looking at some of the fights we have coming in. I have a guy that
round 3.
You could play Budka round 3, but man, would that be a terrifying first couple of rounds. But we'll talk about Budka here in a minute. So Matty, I like Matty's thinking there, more of a round 1 bonk type of situation. I think round 1-2 plus 135 is a good number. Yeah. Inside the distance minus 115 is pretty close. So whatever you want to do in that fight, I think there are ways to play Delgado.
Might be onto something right here.
Yeah. We'll see if we get there. I'm
pumped for this fight right here. I love this fight, bro.
Yeah, I love this fight too. I think honestly
really
this could have been a main card fight last week between Rodolfo Vieira and Andre Petroski. We build this fight as we're going to settle who is the better grappler, but a lot of times this devolves into an ugly striking match. So it was a fantastic model for me. I was able to model, and I'll let you know what I found here in a minute. But what do you think in this fight? Because Vieira's actually minus 260, so kind of a prohibitive winner. What do you think about this?
The first thing I did in this fight was text PD3, one of my best friends, and he just grappled Andre Petroski, and I called his fight or his grappling match perfectly. I even called PD3. I was like, bro, be smart in this fight. Keep your gas tank and just take him down in overtime, right? Because that was the rules of those grappling matches. It was, if you get a sub, you can finish him, or if it goes to overtime, it's like first person to score, right?
Yep.
And that's exactly what he did. PD3 just took him down in OT and won the fight. I asked him, I was like, bro, can Rodolfo sub Petroski? I was like, but it's only like plus 160. He's like, dude, what's the KO? And I started looking at it, and I was like, bro, the KO is plus 600 here. And we see all the time, 2 grapplers, what happens?
Yeah.
Firefight on the feet, right? A lot of striking. Yep. I kind of think Vieira is the better chin. I kind of think he's more of a dog in a way. And I kind of think the ground and pound's even live too if Petroski protects his neck. I'm telling you right now, if you want a long shot in this fight, if the fight gets ugly, or if Petroski gasses a little bit, that KO prop to me is super live at 6-1.
Yeah, 6-1. Let me crunch some numbers because I might be right in that neighborhood with Vieira KO. I've got a plus 780, so not quite, but it's got a pulse. It's got a pulse. But
Yeah.
I like Petroski here, dude. I really do. I
Really?
think it's interesting stylistically when you
you
look
like
at
the
these two.
decision, I assume, then.
I do. I like Petroski by points is kind of my lead.
That's
in
the
this
problem
fight.
I have with this fight is I just feel like all the finishing equity is with Rodolfo.
Agreed. I also don't think Petroski has a prayer to sub Vieira, but Fluffy did it when Vieira gassed out trying to wrestle him, and I think we've seen some growth from Vieira in that department where he was willing to strike Chris Curtis at distance. He wasn't able to take him down, and
did you see Rodolfo at a grappling match with Brunson last year?
He had a grappling match with Brunson. What was the outcome?
He got an arm triangle against him in round 1, bro. An arm triangle choke. And that's the same thing he's done his past 2 UFC fights, dude. I'll tell you what, bro. I really like Rodolfo inside the distance here.
Really?
I do. Pat even said, if Rodolfo gets on top of him, he said he will sub him. But he's not going to sub Petroski off in his guard. Like if Vieira's on his back, he ain't subbing Petroski,
Sure.
I even think Andre's probably comfortable going into his guard, trying to land a little damage. But if Rodolfo gets on top of him or gets in full mount, I'm telling you, dude, I don't think anyone's stopping him from getting an arm triangle or getting ground and pound going. I actually think this could be a really tough stylistic matchup for Petroski in a way.
Well, interesting. I feel that it's tough for Vieira because Petroski's grappling and his survival, and both these guys are very voluminous with sub attempts. Like they almost kind of pick on others. But when you look at striking success rate, Petroski plus 0.31, Vieira negative 1.41. Now, I will say Rodolfo probably has faced the tougher competition so far.
For sure.
It's a little bit tougher.
I'll tell you one thing, bro. Not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Could Andre Petroski go the distance with Chris Curtis? I don't think he could. And I'll tell you another thing. Rodolfo Vieira had Anthony Hernandez in a little bit of trouble in round 1 in that fight. And then, he just got outpaced by him, which he would outpace Petroski instantly if they fought. I'm really starting to lean Rodolfo Vieira by finishing this fight. I think it might be one of my more favorite plays on the card here. I mean, he's putting away guys that have decent defense. He's subbing Derek Brunson and grappling. I mean, he got the arm triangle against Cody Brundage. You can say what you want about him there. Dustin Stolfist, rear naked choke. I mean, he's choking out everyone and getting arm triangles against everyone, bro. I just think all the finishing upside is with Rodolfo here.
Does it concern you at all that he's 35 and was dropped by Cody Brundage 2 fights ago? Does that concern you at all?
No, it doesn't. Because Petroski is just not that guy on the feet to me, bro. Like, I actually think Cody Brundage would beat the shit out of Petroski in a boxing match.
Wow. That's crazy.
In a boxing match, you wouldn't take Cody Brundage against Andre Petroski?
No, the data actually says otherwise too. Petroski's a better distance striker. That's it.
Right.
How about we throw this comment up here because it's a good question, and I think it's why we lean different ways. Who has
the
better gas
tank here, bro? Which
Who has the better gas tank is the question.
I don't know the answer to that, but I'll tell you who is more dog in them, and that's fucking Rodolfo.
I think Petroski's got plenty of dog. That's why I love this matchup. Is I think they're both willing to dig deep.
Yeah, I just think there's a reason. There's a reason they made this guy over 2-1 favorite. This is grappler versus grappler. Why is the younger guy who, starting to put together some wins, why is it not closer to a pick'em here? I just think stylistically is a very difficult matchup. Now, Petroski's never been subbed. He's been KO'd 3 times. It's tough, bro, but I gotta trust my gut in this one. I'm going Rodolfo Vieira inside the distance. I love that play.
I still have Vieira favored here. I've got a minus 135. So I agree that if I was just straight picking this fight for my life, I would probably go with Rodolfo, but I think Petroski's underrated to win an ugly striking match here. I think he's got bombs in his hands. I think he could definitely at least steal one round with a drop, and then it comes down to gas tank. It is interesting. Now, Petroski was hurt by Michel Pereira very early in that 185 fight. Pereira knocked him out, 25 seconds, something like that. It was very, very early.
That was when Pereira was on a championship run until Fluffy. You could argue Vieira's done better against Fluffy than most people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was winning the fight early in that fight and then ended up gassing, which
and you got
some
one
guys
that
just get
Petroski
melted.
can handle that storm.
Yeah, it's interesting. Our chat's with you. They like Rodolfo here. I'm gonna stick with my model. I'm gonna go Petroski by points in an ugly fight.
This guy Vieira has a crazy squeeze, bro. It's just fucking different.
Yeah, if he subs Petroski, that is the debate. I mean, he is the best middleweight grappler, one of the best ever, probably, because Petroski's a guy that does that to a lot of other people. So why don't we move on? I love a good fight like that, and I won't feel badly if Vieira ends up winning because. Yeah, I totally believe he could. So, why don't we move on to this next fight? The other Bonfim brother. Interesting. This one is so much later than the other one, but I think it's maybe a better fight. Ismael Bonfim taking on Nazim Sadykhov here. One of my favorite betting fights of the week right here. So Bonfim coming off a win over Vince Pichel. Sadykhov coming off. Was the draw with Slavikov his last fight?
Yeah.
He had that wild back and forth fight of the night performance against Slavikov.
Yeah.
So he took some time off, recovered from what I'm sure was damage there. What do you think? What do you think about this one with Bonfim at minus 225, Matty?
I have no idea what to do with Sadykhov. I think I know what I'm getting with Ismael, honestly, but Sadykhov is like, it's just, you dominate Terrence McKinney, but it's like, why are you not putting Slavikov away on the ground, or like, you got 4 takedowns on him. It's just very confusing to me. And then Evan Elder, finishes him in round 3. But I think that was that controversial one, right?
Yes. There was the stoppage. I think it was a decent stoppage.
It was like a cut or something. Yep. It's just tough. I kind of lead dog or pass here. It was just very telling how easy
Benoit,
right?
Thank
you. BSD. BSD made it look so easy against Ismael. He just came after him, and that was kind of like the wake up call that's what, like, everyone was like, oh, BSD is the real deal. And then now he goes out and loses all these fights. But I don't know. Ismael, I just don't really have much of a read on him. I definitely don't think he should be a minus 225 favorite versus Nazim here. So I'm going to go dog or pass. I just don't like how streaky Sadykhov is. Looks so good against one guy, and looks average against the next guy. It's just tough.
Well, I mean, I know you don't like Slavikov either, but I love Sadykhov here. I think plus 176 is a great number that he sits at on FanDuel right now. I just have a lot of questions about Bonfim in the grappling like you did. He looked very small against BSD, and like you said, that win has not aged particularly well.
Mm-hmm.
The thing we know we're going to get with Sadykhov, great takedowns, 62% takedown accuracy. Honestly, not a lot of submission volume. He subbed Terrence McKinney in a fight that was a great. If you love wrestling and grappling, that fight with McKinney was back and forth reversals, all sorts of stuff. Ended up getting the better of him when he gassed out. But I think that Sadykhov gas tank is better, less concerns about it. Now on the feet could be a little bit dicey because I think Bonfim is a little bit cleaner. He's more variable with his strikes, willing to mix things up, kicks and into the body and things like that. But at the same time, he got this total freebie against Vince Pichel in his last fight and way over the hill, Vince Pichel, and he went the distance with him. I have a hard time seeing him get Sadykhov out of there, honestly. And to be Sadykhov,
I like length too. I like length.
Yeah, so like I like Sadykhov here late and probably by decision. Ismael's defensive metrics have come through well. I know I feel like I say for decision for every fight, but I do think
that's how it's been, bro. That's how you've been making money lately. Is that fucking fights to go the distance? It really is crazy.
And so I was able to model this if you want that result as well, because Bonfim also snuck in through the metrics. So I've got Bonfim only minus 120 here. So Sadykhov plus 120, and then I've got it 51.2% likely to go the full distance.
Yeah, plus 480 for Sadykhov by decision is a really big number to me.
Yeah, it is a very weirdly big number. I mean, I've got Sadykhov with more inside the distance equity, which maybe some of that. By the way, we got some comments about the streak. This is an unbeaten streak, so the draw didn't bust it for Nazim. We have a streak of 9 on there. He technically was in a draw in his last fight. It's an unbeaten streak. So yeah. So
fair.
That's what the category is. If anyone wanted to know. So fight goes the distance only minus 135.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, over 2.5 minus 166.
That one sounds like a safe parlay type of leg for me. But I'm actually not showing value in that the model, so maybe I should keep my mouth shut and move forward.
Yeah, I think the one thing that sticks out to me is Sadykhov decision at plus 480 here.
Yeah, what's
I think
sub?
he could drop round 1 and win 2-3.
Sub is 10-1 when Benoit took him down and subbed him really easily.
Say again?
Submission is 10-1 for Sadykhov. I know he hasn't been the most active guy.
And if Ismael gasses, that's so fucking live.
Yeah. And that's what you're concerned about.
2-3 sub? Oh my god.
Let's see what 2-3 sub is, just out of curiosity, because we're a long shot show at our core. 33-1, 44-1, 33-1.
That's ridiculous. I have to play that shit.
I love them for like a 1/10 of a unit sprinkle just in case he gasses out. I've got it. I bet I'm showing value on sub. What do I got it?
Bro, that's ridiculous number the way Benoit did it.
I've got sub at plus 830. So again, it's not like I'm super high on it, but 10-1 is very lengthy.
Bro, I think I have to play it, dude.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Double chance too. I like double chance for Sadykhov sub decision.
Yeah, and then you can get a little bit of Bonfim's defensive metrics, especially on the feet, are very good. Sadykhov's sub decision plus 310. That's a good number.
You get that much more just to leave the knockout out.
Yeah, dude. Isn't that weird?
I'm in on that all day.
Yeah, I like that number a lot. I think we'll go with that as our kind of best bet from the fight, plus 310 inside a Sadykov sub or decision, and then you don't have to pick. And I might stagger it so I get the late subs sprinkles and then the decision as well. So I'm glad we're kind of on the same page. I really like Sadykov more than I like Chaos Williams against Bonfim's brother. I feel like the other Bonfim is much more.
For sure.
And the odds are about the same where they're both in.
I also am higher on Gabriel Bonfim than Ismael for whatever reason.
I think I am too. Especially
it was very eye opening how Ismael got beat against BSD, whereas when Bonfim loses, it's against killers or it's because he's gassing. But like Ismael didn't gas, like he just came out and got his ass whooped by BSD.
Yeah.
And that hasn't aged that well. So, like, I just think Gabriel's the better of the two.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you threw Bonfim anywhere around the top 15, I'm not sure you could hang. But I just love these Serra-Longo guys like Sadykhov, great cardio, good sprawls. Like, they're kind of at plus 170. It's a little bit like you had with Merab. Merab just broke Umar's spirit.
Bro, round 2-3 sub is so live, bro.
I love that.
I want to go down to the counter right now. I'm at Circa. If anyone that's watching doesn't know, kind of want to go downstairs right now and go put that in.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Sadykhov 2-3 sub 2. We'll
Circa has you can bet outcomes, but you can't bet round outcomes. So like if you take a fighter in a round, it just has to be a round prop. But sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah, round 2. So round 2-3 for Sadykhov, just those is 13-1 and 18-1. So still pretty good numbers, man.
For sure.
Still pretty good numbers. So we'll keep moving. I'm glad we found a little consensus there. Maybe we'll come back and sprinkle it here. And now on to this next fight here. No whistle for this one, Matty. Edmen Shahbazyan taking on Dylan Budka. It's kind of crazy that Budka got dominated by Petroski in his last fight, yet is fighting later on this card. You'll have to help me out with that math as far as the promotion.
What, does the UFC, like, are they just trying to push Shahbazyan?
I think so. I mean, like, Shahbazyan
gave him GM3. I thought they thought he was going to finish GM3.
Yeah.
And they've had him fight in what? The third to last fight of the night on a pretty solid card.
Yeah.
Like, what am I missing here? He should be, like, 3 fights down, bro.
And he was the co-main against AJ Dobson 2 fights ago as well.
That's right. What is going on, dude?
By the way, trivia question.
This has to be the layup spot the UFC wants. Like, I feel like this is the KO for the cycle leg right here.
I love Shahbazyan KO, bro. Here, we're so on the same page about that. I was a little scared that the books released this number so likely to go the distance. It was weird how much length they put on this. It was
KO all day. I mean, Dylan Booker versus Cesar Almeida, 29-1 outstruck.
Yeah.
Before he got put away round 2. And Shahbazyan is not the level of striker Cesar Almeida is, but he's
more powerful.
Way more aggressive, way faster pace, way come forward, more of a come forward style. Whereas like Cesar Almeida is like on your back foot, snipe you kind of kickboxer. Shahbazyan's going to try to put this dude away within the first, 2 to 7 minutes. Like, he's just going to try to kill him.
Yeah, I think this feels cheap for Shahbazyan money line even because, like, think Budka.
I would never play Shahbazyan's money line though. I'd rather go round 1-2 finish.
Listen to my thinking here, is because I think it's live here because Budka, we saw against Petroski, his strategy on the ground is just simply to survive. Like, he was hanging on for dear life in that fight, and Shahbazyan's a guy that has put top control together before. Like, he went the distance. Shahbazyan went the distance with Dalcha. Oh, he didn't go the distance with Lungimbulu. He went the distance with Jack Hermanson back in the day. He ended up losing that fight, but I think that Budka could be super safe, just not to get finished a little bit like he was against Petroski. But I'm with you. The skill difference here is enormous. Shahbazyan can still compete with guys fringe top 15 for that first round and a half. It's just the gas tank that you have to worry about. Like, it's very weird to me with the ease that he put away AJ Dobson that he's just minus 430 to win this fight against Budka, because Budka has shown absolutely nothing thus far.
Yeah, I don't get it, bro. I mean, literally nothing. I mean, and don't forget your boy Petroski couldn't put him away though. I know it's got to worry you in a matchup against Rodolfo. I need to swing your opinion on that fight.
Not really, just because I honestly tweeted after that fight. I'm like, UFC needs to delay a game penalty or something because Budka's just grabbing the back of his head to survive. Like, he had no intent to get up in that fight. It was the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Right. All right. Well, we got to consider Edmen for the KO leg of the cycle.
Let's look at the number just so we can.
Plus 135.
That's fine. I mean, I'll take Shahbazyan.
I'm blown away by that number. Honestly, I thought it'd be like minus 110.
Yeah, and I think Budka's kind of a hard guy to sub. He's kind of shown iffy tendencies with it. Edmen has.
So. I mean, unless Shahbazyan like jumps guillotine because Budka's just like pushing him up against the cage, stalling the fight. Like, how does he sub it?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm trying to think. Like, I guess a little bit of a tendencies there. He jumped Gilly on Anthony Hernandez. Shahbazyan did.
That's crazy.
Which like obviously didn't work, but
his sub's only plus 500 too, bro. That's scary.
That is a little scary. Shahbazyan had a sub attempt against Jack Hermanson, had one against Jack Marshman back in the day, so it's there. But I think overwhelmingly, if this stays at distance, he's going to put Budka away.
Are all these attempts round one though?
Let me double check. So
that's interesting.
So the Shahbazyan sub attempt looking per round here. Yes, round one against Fluffy, and against Hermanson. Is it going to be round one again? It was round two against Hermanson.
Shahbazyan round 2 is 18-1 by sub. Round 1's 10-1. Wow.
And then round 1 against Marshman, he ended up submitting him in the first round there. So it's like, I prefer more of a lean. Like, what I had written down before you started talking to me about it, as I had just Shahbazyan 1-2, which is I'm looking here. Gosh, you
for those of you guys in the comments real quick while Austin's looking.
Plus 115.
Yes, Dixon, we can see your posts. Guys, we're streaming on like 6 different platforms, so there's a reason there's only so many people watching on YouTube. We have 1,700 people in the chat right now, so there's at least some people watching this thing right now.
TikTok. I don't know. Are we on Twitch? Are we on Lifetime
We're everywhere. We're everywhere right now. So
yes,
we can see your comments, Dixon. You guys can watch this on Facebook. I believe Kick on X, on YouTube, any of the MattyBetts channels or the Home of Fight channels probably.
Got to get TikTok live set up too now that it's not getting banned apparently. But yeah, I like Shahbazyan round 1-2 plus 115 in the spot.
I'm in, bro. Let's move on.
All righty. We'll move on. We'll revisit the cycle, see what we like. But co-main event time here. Youssef Zalal taking on Calvin Kattar. And Zalal 2.0 has become a monster. He ends up clubbing subbing Jack Shore, right? He submitted. You had that 2-leg submission parlay with Shahbazyan in it, and who was the young guy from Japan that was the other leg in that? Kazama, Toshiomi Kazama was your other guy that you had when he subbed Jarno Aarons in the first round back in the day. Zalal's kind of become a monster, and now they're going to throw him into the rankings against Calvin Kattar, coming off a long layoff, and then he loses to Aljamain Sterling and gives up 8 takedowns in the process, and we're kind of wondering if he's washed. Matty, I guess I'll ask you, is Calvin Kattar washed, and is Zalal worth a minus 500 price tag here?
I think it's a combination of no, I don't think Kattar's washed, but he's obviously taken so much damage.
Yeah.
And Max Holloway like literally treated this guy like a punching bag. And I think it's a combination of that parlayed with the fact that this dude Zalal is like, to me, the real deal. Like he has zero weaknesses. He can do everything. He's got kickboxing. He's a very good striker overall. His submissions have been fantastic lately, bro. I'm looking at this fight and I'm like, is this Zalal decision or is this Zalal submission? You know, because like Aljo showed the recipe against Calvin Kattar, but it's like Aljo didn't sub him. But then again, Zalal's kind of like, I think Zalal's kind of like the bigger guy here, and probably at just, I mean, what would you line Zalal versus Aljo right now? I mean, I think Zalal's the favorite.
Oh man, I think Zalal's the favorite too. That's a great question.
Minus 200, maybe, honestly. I mean, Zalal looks fantastic right now. And I just feel like whichever way I bet it, like you're just gonna regret when the other way happens, you're gonna be like, no shit. Like if this thing goes the distance and Zalal dominates, you're gonna be like, I can't believe I wasted money betting on his sub. If he subs him in round 1 or 2, you're gonna be like, no shit, dude, this is what he's been doing. You know, but Calvin Kattar is not an easy guy to put away by all means. You know, but the path to beat him is the wrestling, it's the submission attempts, it's winning on the scorecards. So it just depends. It comes down to, and we talk about this all the time, bro, when it's literally, to me, it's 50-50. He either wins by decision or Zalal wins by sub. So it's like, which one's the better number? Zalal by points is minus 135 and the sub is plus 310. It's like, how can you not take a stab at that submission number at over 3-1? It's like, it's just staring at you. And it could be bait, but you know, it's just, you're going to get opportunities there. He's going to get takedowns. It's just a matter of what he does with them. And, you know, Kattar's, you know, was able to play it safe against Aljo.
Do you remember in that Khamzat Chimaev cycle that you hit, how we talked about sub before? And I was like, it feels kind of square, but here's the reason why it's not square. Yeah. I feel like there is value on Zalal's submission prop here because of the thought of, oh, well, Aljamain Sterling didn't submit him. When you look at these guys on paper and who they are, Zalal 1.5 submission attempts per 15, Sterling just 0.7, so he attempts more often. And sub wins since the start of 2020. Zalal has 3, Sterling has 1. Yeah. So Zalal's actually the better submission guy on paper than Aljo, and I think people recognize Aljo and his brilliance at a championship level. Yeah. But Zalal, it not only shows the instinct, but I just feel like he sinks those chokes in very quickly. It's like lightning quick how quick he can get his hands underneath the guy's. Let me
ask Moicano. Moicano fought Calvin Kattar back in 2018, and he won by decision. He mauled him 116-41.
Yeah.
Let me send him a picture. We'll see if we get a response on the show. I'm just gonna be like, does Zalal win by decision or submission?
And so I've got Youssef sub here modeled just plus 170, and I teased on the tweet of today's show my largest model favorite ever. It is Youssef Zalal at minus 310 here. I've never had somebody carry that sort of price tag.
Wait, say that again.
Zalal is the biggest favorite I've ever modeled since I started doing this about a year ago or so.
Really?
That's minus 310, which is weird because his competition level input isn't great, but it's just Kattar is 36. He's declining. He's taken a lot of damage. He's on a losing streak. And Zalal is this guy that in his last 5 fights, especially, and you think of how some of Zalal's losses have aged. He fought Ilya Topuria. He fought, he fought Sean Woodson. Like everything is on the upward trajectory for his UFC resume, and it really bakes in that recent sample. So I love Zalal.
Oh, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Moicano said decision for sure. Decision for sure, he said.
You don't think there's any bias that he couldn't sub Kattar?
He said Max couldn't TKO him, but I didn't say KO. Hold on, let me give him more context. Let me see what he says.
This is gambling. Don't try that at home, my brother. This is not for the weak of heart here, brother. Do you trust Matt's advice tonight? No. I'm telling you, I'm just playing the roulette, my brother. Red 5 times, you put everything on the black. I'm telling you, this technique, 100%. 100%.
I sent him his last 3 fights just so he sees it. He said, I don't think so, though. He said decision. Okay. I mean, again, I think that you know how it's going to go, right? Like, you play that juicy plus 310 sub line, and he's just gonna ragdoll him for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna look like the Moicano fight. It's gonna look like the Aljo fight. It's just frustrating, bro, because that is a great fucking number. And Zalal has those rear naked chokes. He's got arm triangles. I mean, he can do it from various positions. But Calvin Kattar, you just have to credit his durability.
Yeah.
Never sold in the USC. Never put away in the USC.
I will say, Matty,
Arnold Allen was different, but
I think a big part of that for Kattar is level of competition and who he's been fighting, because he doesn't have a lot of sub threats on here other than the perception of Aljo, which is very different than paper. But you look at Giga Chikadze, Josh Emmett, Ige, Jeremy Stevens. I mean, I guess kind of Zabit a little bit, but Renato Moicano was really the one guy. Moicano was really the one guy that he fought that's kind of a sub guy, and Moicano just wasn't able to find it. So
yeah.
I tend to think it might be a little bit undervalued, that Kattar's sub defense might not be as good as we think it is.
Really?
The thing to remember is Sterling was at
official stats in the Aljo fight. So Aljo had 8 takedowns, first of all.
Yes.
Who do you think's the better control guy? Like once you get a takedown, because I think Zalal can maybe hold him there a little bit longer, whereas Aljo is constantly Kattar is right back to his feet and then relentless takedowns. But
Zalal's bigger.
Zalal's bigger, I think, bro. And I mean, Aljo's used to fighting all these bantamweights, like. Better control.
I'm sorry, man. I feel like if you give me Jack Shore, Billy Quarantillo, and Calvin Kattar, I'd say the easiest guy to sub there is probably Calvin Kattar. And he subbed the other 2.
I don't know what I want to do, bro. I was looking at Zalal I really was looking at Zalal for the cycle, bro.
I'm gonna be hooded Kermit, and I'm gonna say do it.
Do it.
I love Zalal sub. I don't ever grade out these heavy favorites showing value, and I have value on Zalal sub. I've got it plus 170.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that we're getting plus 310 on a guy that's won 3 straight fights by submission.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jack Shore is also sub by Ricky Simone. It's a very good point.
Sub guy. Both those guys better sub guys than Aljo. Just saying.
I mean, some people think Aljo is better at wrestling.
He's smaller. He's smaller in this division. He's smaller because he's not a featherweight. He's a bantamweight.
This is tough to me, bro. All right, well, let's think on this one.
Okay.
Let me ask you this though: are we good with a double chance in the safe parlay here?
Ooh, good thinking. I did notice that earlier on FanDuel. His money line is minus 480, but sub decision is just minus 370. So you can cut off a little bit of juice, and nobody has knocked out Calvin Kattar. It would have to be ground and pound.
It would have to be.
But Zalal also hasn't shown a ground and pound tendency. He is much more control submissions over strikes on the ground.
Yeah. That's up to you, but I think we should look at it.
Yeah, we'll look at it. We'll bookmark that, but we'll have plenty of time to marinate because now we get to talk about the main event.
Let's go.
Alrighty, Matty. So I actually think this is a good one, and occasionally we see these changing of the guard main events. And is it the old guard? Is it the new guard? Jared Cannonier. This is his. I think I want to say his 4th straight main event. He has been a stalwart in these, taking on a guy you and I have always loved, Gregory RoboCop Rodrigues. I'm glad we're shining some light on RoboCop because he has been demolishing this kind of outside the rankings part of middleweight for a few years now, and this is his chance to get a number. So Cannonier, Rodrigues, RoboCop minus 245 here, was able to model this guy, but what do you think, my friend?
RoboCop by fucking murder. I'll tell you one thing, bro. Caio beat the brakes. I don't know how that fight wasn't stopped.
Right.
This is Jared Cannonier is near 41 years old, coming off an absolute, like you say what you want about the Imavov fight, right? Like that fight was a little bit early with stoppage. He was looking good for a few rounds, but Caio Borralho, I think he took years off this dude's life. Like, and now your next fight is a fucking killer in RoboCop who has no weaknesses. I mean, you can say what you want defensively, has maybe some weaknesses, but offensively, the dude is a killer everywhere. He can choke you out. He can get in full mount and kill you. Like, he's got big power on the feet. He's heart. He rallies. The one thing I will always say with RoboCop, if I take my bias aside, is like he does get hit. He does get hurt at times early in fights. Like it does happen. So is there a chance he comes in and Cannonier hurts him? It is possible. But I'll tell you one thing, bro. This dude is a monster right now. You should see him in the training sessions. I mean, from what Gilbert's telling me, I'm a little bit biased on RoboCop to anyone that's listening, but I think that, I mean, we're just looking at an insane run of middleweights right now when you look at Kaio and Imavov and RoboCop. Like, these guys are up next, and I expect RoboCop to propel himself right. Just think about the opportunity this is for him. Jared Cannonier's number 7, I think.
Yep.
Or 7. And I think he's number 7. And RoboCop's like way up there. Like, what is he, 15? I don't know the exact rankings, but this is a massive opportunity for him. You get a guy who's been pretty much finished 2 fights in a row.
Yeah.
And is 40 years old. And you can, like, if you do what you're supposed to do here in a main event, like, this is big for RoboCop. He can become, you know, an up-and-coming star in the UFC. Like, he's always been a fan favorite, but on a very niche down level. You know, if he can main event this and beat the brakes off of Cannonier, like, he can start to become more of a star in the UFC. And I can tell you one thing, he is 100% putting the work in. Like, This dude is an absolute, like, dog in the gym, dude. And I think it's his time. So, again, I do think the odds are a little bit wide for sure, but it's more of a reflection of age and recency with damage. But I just think RoboCop, dude, I'll tell you one thing. If RoboCop's on top of him throwing elbows, that ref is stopping this fight. Like, it ain't going to go down like the way it did with the Caio Borralho fight. Like, RoboCop is as vicious as it gets with his ground and pound.
Yeah. I don't even think this is wide, Matty. I modeled RoboCop minus 230 here. You look at the trajectories of these two, and it's like, we're worried about Cannonier's fleeting durability, and all of a sudden now we give him a guy that absolutely beat Brad Tavares pillar to post. And, like, Tavares was this hallmark of durability, and Rodrigues absolutely... Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was round 2 or 3. I don't remember exactly. It was 3. Yeah. But I mean, that fight was so lopsided, and he hits so hard, 56% striking accuracy. He's kind of got a black belt that he just leaves on the side. You know, he doesn't really always go to it and prefers to stand and bang. And, like, my biggest concern for Cannonier in this spot is a lot of people are like, well, you know, leaves his chin up in the air. Jared can find it. Jared doesn't have a knockdown in like 5 years. Like, he has been more of a point fighter as he's made.
That's
a
great point. No, that's a great point. Because you think about this big power. What was the Derek Brunson fight? That was
you know, that was Brunson's gassing out. And I don't know if he got
right, because Derek Brunson's the one with the knockdown in that fight.
Exactly.
No, you bring up a great point. Like, Cannonier, you think of crazy big power on the feet. Not getting knockdowns. Now, I will say, Marvin Vettori's head is a fucking brick, and he beat the piss out of his head for
that's right.
5 rounds. So, like,
yeah.
Dude, when I saw that fight, I thought Cannonier was like the next guy. Like, Vettori is just such a stationary punching bag. Like, it's insane. Like, Cannonier looked like a world champion in that fight. Like, his pace, his cardio, the volume of his striking, it was insane. But then he just goes out the next 2 fights. And, you know, again, this could be looked at as a buy low spot on Cannonier, because you could make the argument Kaio and Imavov are just the next 2 guys. Yeah. Right? It just comes down to how much you believe in Gregory Rodrigues and his skill set. Now, he can, like Gilbert says, he's like, I doubt he'll do this, but he can just take this fight to the ground. And you'd like to see, as a gambler on RoboCop or a bettor on RoboCop, you'd like to see him do that, because it's just no competition like the majority of the guys he faces when he just gets takedowns. He's so heavy on top too.
Yeah. I totally agree. I by the way, I played 3 units in the Discord minus
That's
120.
a big guy for a middleweight, bro. I'm a fucking decent sized guy. That's a big guy for 185, dude. I'm telling you. He's a light heavyweight all fucking day, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he is so big for this debate.
He's gonna, by the way, next to Cannonier, he's gonna look monstrous.
Yeah. That Borralho Cannonier fight happened mostly distance. I feel very comfortable saying Rodrigues is a better striker than Caio Borralho is. I feel very comfortable saying that.
I think Kai is super underrated with his striking too, though. So I think it's closer than most people think. But I agree. I think RoboCop has the edge.
Yeah,
and he's gotten better over time, dude. He's like he looks like this big bulky guy that like can't like, you know, isn't that smooth on the feet, but
He's
it
fast.
lands like crazy. Like it just lands, and you're like, damn, like he's actually has kind of like deceiving like accuracy and speed. You know, he just looks bulky.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't be much higher on RoboCop by the way he fought that Christian Leroy Duncan fight. Like he had a positive striking differential at distance against CLD, and then he won it comfortably with the takedowns. Like the thing is, Cannonier has never been subbed in UFC, never.
And please tell me about RoboCop's fucking tendencies on the sub, because he don't go for it, bro. I bet it against Dennis Tululand, and he could have had it if he wanted it. He just, dude, when he's on top, he is literally elbowing your skull.
Just like, 0.4 attempts per 15 minutes below average at middleweight.
I'll tell you what, it also depends on who the referee is, but if the referee like looks at Jared, 40-year-old guy, taking a lot of damage last 2 fights, if RoboCop starts pouring it on him, don't be surprised if we see another middleweight fight that's like, oh, it was an early stoppage, but like you're probably going to save Jared Cannonier some years on the back end of his life. Like in all seriousness, I could see that happening in this fight.
Yeah, I love RoboCop KO here. I've got it plus 125. It's only plus 130 on FanDuel. A better number actually exists somewhere else. I'm not going to say where, but I think RoboCop KO is a really interesting cycle leg, and I probably think like a sandwich, like 2, 3, 4. I really don't want much RoboCop exposure if this fight is headed.
Jared don't have much of a neck either.
Yeah, he's a tough guy to sell.
And he's a strong guy too. Like it's gonna be hard to like armbar him or like something like that, you know.
Yeah,
that's why, and it's why like dude, when I was watching the Caio Braulio fight, I was like, what is Caio doing, dude? He's just gambling the whole fight. Like, just take this fucker down. And he just didn't want to do it. And I think RoboCop's gonna do the same thing. And you also have to understand the entertainment aspect of it. When you're these up and coming middleweights, you want to be entertaining and get knockouts and put on performances, because it's all going to be debatable and controversial of like who moves up, how many spots, who gets the next title shot. Like, you know, I think that if RoboCop's, I think a round 2 or 3 TKO here is what we're going to see from RoboCop.
Love it. I like the rounds too. I think round 2, 3 is the way I'd go as well. And by the way, RoboCop leaps to 7 in the rankings, ahead of Anthony Hernandez, ahead of Michelle Pereira, ahead of Bo Nichols.
If he wins,
if he beats Cannonier.
Right. And then everyone else is already matched up. I think I saw there's a rumor with Whitaker, but I think that Gilbert was saying RoboCop should call out Whitaker after a win. But if he doesn't get Whitaker, it's like, who really is there? He's gonna have to wait. Or is it the fight down?
And like you look at stylistically some of these matchups, I think Rodrigues puts Allen in a body bag, dude. Like Chris Curtis finished Allen.
Any of these submission guys,
it's
a RoboCop's a bad matchup for them. Even my favorite guy in the division, as far as like who I think is the dark horse, is Fluffy, bro.
Yeah,
and like this is a tough fight for Fluffy too. But if the fight goes long, Fluffy's gonna have the advantage against pretty much any of these big middleweights.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be the same type of dynamic, but like Roman Dolidze, Rodrigues probably.
We seen Fluffy been hurt in round 1, dude, and that's what RoboCop can do. So he's live against any of these middleweights, bro. And he couldn't be a better guy too. Like this dude's like very faithful, family man, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in the whole business, bro. So I'm really rooting for him too.
Me too. Also because of the Barack Obama memes that'll pop up on X and cases and things like that. I love the fact that he looks like Barack Obama. It's the great.
He takes everything like in stride too. He just thinks it's funny. He don't care.
It's all complimentary. It's all complimentary. So Matty and I are on the same page.
Let's rip this cycle parlay with fucking confidence, bro. No overthinking shit. I think we can go to it right away here. Like let's switch it up and come back to your safe parlay.
Okay. Yeah.
Start the KO prop. We have multiple options here. I'm going to read off our options. And on the count of 3, I want us to say the option that we like the best.
Okay.
All right. Option 1, Edmen Shahbazyan by knockout plus 135. Option 2, it's pretty much, let's go 2, man. So Edmen Shahbazyan by knockout plus 135. Or option 2, we're going to go with RoboCop by knockout. The number is, what was it?
Plus 125. Plus
125. So very similar. Count of 3. What's your gut here? 1, 2, 3. RoboCop. All right, leg 1 of the cycle. Well, leg 3 of the cycle, technically,
Yes.
is RoboCop. And I'm actually glad we're doing that because I have a weird feeling about that Shahbazyan sub the more we started talking about it.
Me too, dude. Me too.
You know,
I don't
so
want a piece of it.
Hopefully, maybe we dodge the bullet there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to decision here before we do sub. Here are the options that we talked about. Angela Hill by decision, plus 125. Gabriel Bonfim by decision. Let me get that number for you.
It was plus 300, wasn't it? It was plus 300.
Gabriel Bonfim by decision, plus 300. Angela Hill by decision, plus 125. Do we have one more? I don't think Nazim.
Oh, I mean, oh no, we like 2-3 sub with Nazim, and I want to play that.
I think the two options again, so let's do the same thing.
Okay.
All right. Gabriel Bonfim by decision, plus 300. Angela Hill by decision, plus 125. 3, 2, 1.
Bonfim.
All right, 2 for 2. 2 for 2.
Yeah.
All right. And we have to put some good plus money in there, right? Because Rodrigues isn't the biggest KO prop. So now we have the submission. I already know what we're doing, bro. It's so obvious.
I know what I'm gonna say when you give me the option. So you have to.
All right, let me find a second option first, just to be clear here. I want to start at the very bottom of the card. All right, so we could go Walter Walker by submission plus 400.
No.
We could go Estevam by submission is an actual option here we're not thinking about at plus 210. I actually do not hate that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean,
and we could go. I like Vieira, but we're going to skip that one, obviously. And the last option is Youssef Zalal by submission plus 310.
And do you not want to throw Sadykhov in here 10-1? Too lengthy?
Nah, not for the cycle, bro. It's too big. It's too big. We got to feel one go through the hoop here. I'm down to put a sprinkle on it on the card, but
okay.
All right, so the options to recap here: Youssef Zalal submission. Oh, we had Jared Gordon too, or not? That's another crazy one.
If only we had
Estevam by submission or Walter Walker by submission. 3, 2, 1.
Zalal. Yep.
I was hoping we had one split there because that's the one I'm a little bit confused about.
I don't think there's a great sub on this card. I prefer the longer ones like Sadykhov. Like, we'll see what Gordon's number comes in at.
There, let me write this out for Mike here. So, what's the first leg as far as time on the card? It would be.
Let's see. So we have the main, the co-main, and we have Angie, right? Oh no. Who are we going decision? Bonfim decision.
All right.
I forgot who we picked.
Bonfim decision plus 300, right?
Yeah, I'm playing the over straight in that fight, so I really like that.
So then Youssef Zalal.
Sub.
SSEF. 2 Fs? No, 1 F.
No, it's
Youssef
1 F, 2
Zalal
S's. Yeah.
By submission. Plus, what was that? Plus 310? Jesus.
Yeah. So this is 36-1.
Bro, this is right around the odds of that Hamzat leg, dude.
Yeah.
And this is the best we felt on one.
Yeah.
I do think the hardest leg is going to be that Youssef Zalal sub, to be honest.
Really? I think
it's the hardest leg because I love Rodrigues KO and I love the Bonfim decision. I think the Bonfim decision is so mispriced. What was Rodrigues plus 125?
He's plus 120. Actually,
What's
just
the
like
thing plus what?
Plus 130. It lengthened.
What's the whole cycle play?
Plus 36.72. So almost 37-1.
There she is, boys.
Are you going to check and see? Oh, you're in Vegas. You're not in Florida this week.
I mean, I can still see on the app, but I just went off your word. So,
yeah.
If you guys aren't feeling Zalal, you could look at Estevam.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you could look at Rodolfo, dude. I swear to God, bro, I kind of want to go Rodolfo instead.
Well, you really think he could sub Petroski? I feel like KO is more likely for Rodolfo.
I think he can sub anyone.
Yeah. But what
he
is
subs
sub?
everyone, bro? He
it's
almost
plus 160. That's a terrible
I know. It's
number.
more conservative.
You really think plus 160 is a good number? You really think he's more likely to sub Petroski than Zalal is more likely to sub Kattar? That's crazy. Petroski's good at grappling.
I agree, but Kattar's never been subbed either. It's not like
Yeah.
you got to remember, you're getting a higher level submission guy. I mean, we love Youssef Zalal, but Rodolfo Vieira is like fucking all world when it comes to submitting. Like that's all he's done in his career is get submission. So it's a preference, really. I do agree that the numbers better with Zalal. Calvin Kattar's durability just scares me, but he has to focus on control first, not chase it right away.
Yeah.
And then let the fight get back to the feet. Let's see if we got a graphic coming here. Oh, we got to do the safe parlay. So let's start on that.
Yeah, that's what I was actually just thinking about quietly because it's kind of a tough safe parlay week.
Yeah.
What did we have?
No, we had. I know the one you liked was.
I like Gordon money line at -325. I think that's a good number.
Yeah.
I
agree. Angela Hill money line or no? Oh, here it is. Hold on. Let's do me a favor. Let's get a G Gabriel Bonfim. There's 2 Bonfims on the card.
Yeah, that's right.
You already know people are gonna fucking do the wrong Bonfim, and then they're gonna send me death threats in my DM when the other leg would have hit. Like I already know how this shit goes, bro.
It's why it's a good idea to cross-reference the odds too, because Ismael Bonfim decision is.
I really love Rodolfo.
Plus 130.
I'm very shocked that you don't see division on Rodolfo, bro. I think we're gonna look back at this and be like, oh, that was obvious. Like Petroski, look at the guys he's gone up against in the UFC, bro.
Yeah. Is my confidence sleep. And by the way, this number has moved toward Rodolfo all week. Yeah. Like Petroski was like plus 140 on Sunday. He's plus 205 now.
Can we see is the number on the graphic or no? I can't see.
No, not yet.
All right, we'll get that done. But that's about a 36-1 lay, guys, depending on where you get it. I feel good about it. I really do. I'll tell you one thing. If it gets down to that last leg, RoboCop better not fucking get his first UFC sub, bro. You know?
It's unbelievable he doesn't have one yet, given his.
I know, and that's what always scares me. But he doesn't look for it, dude. I have to trust our read on it. The ground and pound is there. That's if it even gets it to the ground. He can get a standing TKO in this fight.
I'm still hunting.
All right, let's go, dude. I'm down for you to put Angie money line in there and call it a day. Yeah. I think that's a good play, dude.
Yeah, dude. Those two together are plus 149.
Oh, what about Estevam inside the distance? Wasn't that one?
Yeah, I don't know if I like that necessarily better than.
Just go Angie money line, and what was the first leg?
Yeah, you know what I like a little bit better than. I kind of like Delgado inside the distance minus 105.
And then Angie money line or no?
No, that's too lengthy for the.
It's
minus 115. I'm comparing what I want to do here. I just think Connor Matthews is a bum.
Yeah, you're starting to get me there on Delgado by KO.
I just don't. Yeah, I just don't know which if I want to take him.
All right,
KO
take 30 seconds and cook this up. I gotta use the restroom real quick.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe I can get Maddie's thoughts on Morales Smith to go the distance. Vince is so durable, but I think I'd be worried about maybe a sub there potentially. We've had good success when we do like a money line and then maybe a very conservative total. So
now we got a long shot parlay. You pick one long shot, I pick one, and we put it in a parlay. Method of victory.
Don't we both like span sub 7-1?
Yeah, we do.
What about McGee sub at 8-1?
The thing is, bro, you print money just taking Tim Means to lose by submission. It really is crazy.
That's plus 7,100 right there, those two together.
30 left. Big shots. He goes for the neck. He's down.
People are probably sick of seeing these fucking clips. They're like, give us some winners right now. We don't give a shit about last year.
How about this? I've kind of thrown this together. You could totally veto it. I was looking at Jared Gordon money line. I take Estevam money line just in case he doesn't find the finish. And then the main event, Cannonier RoboCop, doesn't go the distance.
Yeah, I mean, I still like it.
Because it's RoboCop's first main event. I don't have any distance exposure to him, and that all three of those together is plus 101.
Yeah. I really love our cycle, bro. This is the first one in a while where I've been like, this one's hidden. I still remember when we had the Hamzat cycle, and so clear, we were like, this shit is hidden. And ever since that day, we just have never had that level of confidence since, and it shows why we haven't hit one.
The decision, we followed the formula you always tell me you want to find, which is like more technical fighter against a durable opponent. That's Chaos Williams, dude.
Check.
That's what you want to hit. Yeah, I feel better about that. I'm almost entranced by that.
And then we have big power in the main event versus a 40-year-old expiring chin. And then we have the grappling advantage on the submission. We just have to hope that Zalal actually gets it on the ground.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm making an executive call with the safe parlay here. Plus 100. Okay, you ready? Yeah. I'm going Gordon money line, Estevam money line, and Morales Smith starts round 3.
Let's do it.
I can't see Vince Morales finishing him or vice versa, especially not unless it's like a gas out by Elijah. So I think it's going to round 3. So I'll send this over to Mike. We're going to go with Gordon money line, Estevam money line, and then the fight to start round 3 between Morales and Smith. I almost sent that to some people I wasn't supposed to in Slack, but so be it. So there's our cycle parlay. We got Gabriel Bonfim decision. It's 3-1. Okay, take the right Bonfim, brother. That's my official warning. Youssef Zalal submission in the co-main event. We're going to go RoboCop by knockout. All 3 of those model approved, by the way, in UFC Vegas 102. And then the safe parlay I'm going to put into chat as well here. We're going to go Jared Gordon's money line, friend of the show, Jared Gordon. I think that's fair to say, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then Estevam money line, and then we are going to go Smith and Morales starts round 3. If you throw all 3 of those together on FanDuel, it'll be plus 100. Oh, I wonder why that double popped. All righty. So all 3 of those together plus 100. Well, once I get the safe parlay back up on the graphic, I'll kind of send it out. But it's a good show, Matty. I think you and I have a lot of ground that isn't the Vieira Petroski fight. So you're gonna text me. One
of us will be completely right and completely wrong on that fight. It's not gonna be close.
I mean, theoretically,
I swear to God, bro, there's still a part of me that wants to swap Zalal with Rodolfo.
Vieira. I just don't know how you can be confident he's not going to KO him if you like Rodolfo. Because to me, Petroski's chin and his striking is sus. But there's our safe parlay, guys. Gordon, Estevam, Morales Smith starts.
Has Petroski been subbed in grappling?
In grappling is a good question.
In grappling, let's see if he's been subbed.
The thing is, he's fighting such high-level grapplers that maybe he has.
So he got ankle locked in Fury Pro Grappling back in 2023. But how can you say Rodolfo Vieira is not that?
That's true. Rene Souza, good grappler.
Bro, he lost the fucking Brian Battle by sub in an exhibition match. Ninja choke. Bro, I don't know, dude. For everyone that's watching, we got 2,000 people on the live right now. This cycle is not official. There is a 50-50 chance.
No way. That number sucks, Matty. Don't do that.
Bro, if it's the difference between winning or not, I'm not saying I'm doing it. I'm just saying I'm not official yet. I need to sleep on it tonight.
Okay, well, I'm officially putting our cycle in it.
I'm just saying, to me, there's a much bigger chance that Zalal. I mean, see, I even want to say Zalal is the bigger chance, but it's just not, bro. It's just he's fighting lower level guys than Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar's never been put away. And then on the other hand, we have Petroski, who got ninja choked in an exhibition match. He got ankle locked in a grappling match. What else? Those 2.
Best of luck, guys.
Tomorrow, bro. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Best of luck, guys. We hope the scoring's in your favor. Until next time, hope your best hits. Enjoy the fight Saturday. We'll be back here next Thursday.
That might be the move right there. Just make 2 bets. Problem solved.